Married at First Sight, we're tired. In fact, you could just skip to the reunion because we tired. Welcome to La Vida Rosa. I'm your host Pinky, and today we're going to be talking about Married at First Sight. So if you'd like to see more, then just stay tuned, like, comment, and subscribe. And without further ado, let's get into this video. This episode was so boring, and I was so mad because there are a few episodes of the season that you just automatically expect for there to be some sort of entertainment value to come from them. The weddings, the honeymoon, decision day, the reunion. I also feel like the retreat is one of those episodes. I'm just expecting something interesting to happen, and that never happened on this episode. This episode was so slow, so boring. There were no new developments. I literally had to keep rewinding because my mind kept drifting off. I kept looking at my phone. I kept doing other things. I kept almost falling asleep. Like, it's not keeping my attention at all. Scrap whatever y'all have for next week and please give us decision day. We tired. So anyway, the couples, they're on a retreat. They're in Gatlinburg, Tennessee, which I've been there before, and I've stayed in a cabin there, and it's actually really nice, serene, and peaceful there. But they do have bears. That's probably one of the most riveting things of this episode is they actually saw a baby bear, and Clint actually went outside. No, he didn't touch the bear or get too close. You know what I'm saying? But he got close enough to where it's like, Clint, get your tail back in the house. What are you doing? Speaking of Clint, let's just go ahead and start with Clint and Gina. So on this trip, this will be their first time sharing a room since the honeymoon, because even though they both moved into that apartment, they never actually stayed in the same room or slept in the same bed as man and wife. This is giving Clint a little bit of hope. Maybe this will help their relationship progress a little bit more. I don't know if Clint is just going through the motions and just saying what he needs to say to get through this, or does he actually believe it? But no, I'm sorry. Gina has very much friend zoned you. It's very much platonic, and you know, the situation isn't as bad as Eris and Jasmine, but it's reminiscent for me. I feel like he's saving face a lot of times. He lets her say what it is she want to say. He just goes along with it. But I would love for once to hear Clint speak up first and like to hear his opinion before we hear what Gina has to say. I feel like ever since Gina shut him down on that honeymoon, that's when he stopped saying his true feelings. He'll let her go first and kind of echo her sentiments. It's like y'all are sleeping in the same bed. When they lay down together, like, at least cuddle each other. Like, try. They're not trying. Well, she's not really willing to try. At some point, the men have a man pageant, and it was so cute because Gina did his hair. And you know, Clint has like a longer head of hair, so she slicked his hair back and put it in a little man bun. That alone, to me, kind of knocked Cliff up a couple notches. I'm like, okay, Cliff, maybe you should like get an up-to-date haircut. Maybe that will make you look a little bit more attractive. And then when we see what he actually wore in the pageant, he wore like this, was it a leather jacket? And like he had his shirt open, had his chest hair out. He looked like a rock star. He really did. Clint looked good. Like, I'm not going to say Clint is just fine or anything, or I'm just attracted to him. But I'm just like, you could see the potential so much. And not only just his looks, but it's just the confidence he has to walk out with his shirt open and just, you know, the way he was acting. He was just so confident about his answers, and he just knew he was going to win. And he ended up getting 4th place, and he felt some type of way. If Gina cared, like, she could have been like, well, you're my winner. You're still a winner of my book. Like, something like that. Like, he can cook. Like, he got a good job. Let's go ahead and move on to Chris and Nicole. So Nicole's looking to the future and thinking about where they could possibly stay after decision day, because they want to be together clearly, and it's just been hard for them to find housing that accepts 3 pets. She's just a very proactive person, and she wants to get on top of it and plan early and figure it out so it's not a stressor in the long run. And you know, he's more so, we'll figure it out, don't stress about it, let's at least wait until Monday and we'll work on it. Did something happen that I missed? Like, she just wasn't in a good mood. Like, they ended up getting there late, and maybe that's what made her a little agitated. She didn't feel like hanging out with the other couples, but this is why we're here. So she ended up participating at all. And she even said she had to control the fact that she wants to have a temper tantrum. So later on, he made a little scavenger hunt with, you know, some cute, loving, romantic, uplifting notes for her to walk around the little deck and find and read and feel better. And that was really sweet of him. Like, you know, he knew she wasn't in the best mood, so he tried to help her uplift her mood. And later on in the episode, it was her birthday. They did a joint birthday with her and Clint, I believe. And it was an 80s party, and they had a lot of fun. You know, he threw on a wig. He don't mind being silly. She said this birthday is so happy for her because usually every year she has a yearly cry and thinks about where she's not in life and not celebrate being here another year. And I'm just like, Nicole, you do that every year? Poor baby. Nicole really needs some help. I really hope she gets the help that she needs and she works on that, because that's a sad life. Like, on your birthday you think about that? You're not trying to think of all the happy moments or the fact that you're surrounded by people you love. Like, well, she did that this year. Let's turn over a new leaf. Let's move on to Eris and Jasmine. So they're having their little road trip to Gatlinburg. She has this little question games for the couples. And one of them said, well, what have you learned from your partner? He encouraged her to read more. I just hate that she's so down on herself. She's kind of negative like Nicole in a way, because as soon as, you know, it was his turn to answer, she was like, well, I know you probably didn't learn anything from me. And it's like, why do you think that? He immediately said he learned from her to give yourself grace and to live your truth. I don't know if that was generic, if he was just saying that just to say it, but I don't know, just the fact that she automatically was like, well, there's no possible way you could have learned something from me. I'm just like, Jasmine, no. She ends up hosting the pageant for the other couples. And it's funny, Eris really was feeling himself. We know Eris thinks he's a 12. I don't know why he thinks he's a 12 out of 10. He resembles ants. Y'all remember that movie Ants? He looks like them to me. He looks like he would fit right into that movie without any Photoshop or makeup. At some point, he made her lotion his ashy ankles. I'm sure Jasmine prepped him very well for this pageant. It's crazy because Eris talks a good game. They're answering different questions about marriage and things like that. At some point, he said you should find out what turns your wife on and love her properly. And it's like, do you hear the words that are coming out of your own mouth? Like I said, Eris has a lot of knowledge, and you know, I feel like he takes in all the advice. He just doesn't apply it, and I just feel like, well, what's the point? What's the point? Like, even if you're retaining the knowledge, if you're not going to use it, what's the point? But he did end up winning. I would love for moments like that to be cute between him and Jasmine, but they just don't have any chemistry at all. Even if things turned around and he tried, like, I just don't see anything between them. Like, at least with Gina and Clint, they have this witty banter back and forth, friendly. I really could believe they were friends. But with Eris and Jasmine, is it that Jasmine's afraid to be around him? Is she afraid she's going to say something that's going to turn him off? But he'll say little things here or there, joking or trying to be funny, and she'll just be like, oh, so do you just not find it funny, or you just don't know what to say back? You know, it's just that thing when you're in a relationship. That's like one of the best parts of being in a relationship, is to have those insider jokes, to have somebody you could be silly with. You know, when they say something, you say something right back. They keep you on your toes. Like, they don't have that at all. At the very least, the other couples have that. Even the ones that we just know they ain't gonna last, at least they have that. You know what I'm saying? And honestly, it's very cringy and uncomfortable to watch. Later on in the episode, apparently Eris meditates every morning, and she wanted to meditate together since they're on this trip. And he got up and he meditated without her, and she felt some type of way about it. she sat on it for a little while, but she ultimately did say something, and he appreciated the fact that she went ahead and said something, even though she waited for a little while, and they did meditate together. Later on, he asked her, does it seem like I've been trying? And she said he's doing better to be present, but you're still in your phone a lot, and I want you to be in a moment with me. And he was like, well, moments like that, I want you to just speak up and tell me to get off my phone. Jasmine says she's had these same complaints come up before in the past in her relationship. And I feel like, yes, this is something that you need to work on, Jasmine, because why would you want to be in a relationship where you don't have a voice, where you have to tiptoe around the other person? You know, you might be passive aggressive, but the other person is not picking up on what you want, so you're becoming resentful in the long run. Like, I feel like in some ways I can be that way, so I kind of can relate to Jasmine. But some things, like if I feel like I'm talking to you and you're all in your phone, I'm gonna tell you to put that phone down. I'll do that now. Come on. So it's certain things you just have to open your mouth and say it. Later on, when they met up with all the couples again, I forgot what the prompt was, but he ended up commending Jasmine for how she dealt with this situation and, you know, kind of uplifted her in front of the group. He was like, you could have really handled this situation any other way. You could have been loud. You could have, you know, went off on me or whatever, and you would have been justified. But the way you handled this with such grace, you know, I really appreciate you or whatever. And she starts crying. And I feel like this is a moment for y'all to be affectionate. Literally, Eris, you said something that really touched her. Why not lean in for a hug? Even a kiss, like a peck. Like, that's how I know they're not meant to be together, because they have no chemistry at all. Sadly, Jasmine is looking at this as a turning point, because I guess he's never given her that sort of attention before, and so she's looking at this as a step in the right direction. I'm just like, unfortunately, I just don't see it like that. I just don't. And then at some point, Eris had to leave for a work trip. He tried to get out of it, but he couldn't. I really hope that he had to do a work trip. I really, really hope that's the case. And he wasn't doing that just to get away. All right, let's move on to Shaq and Kirsten. I love the way Shaq dresses, by the way. His suit for the pageant, chef's kiss. I loved his suit. I love that tie. It was so different. Y'all might not be paying attention, or maybe y'all think he dresses flamboyant or whatever. I know somebody's gonna say that, but I feel like Shaq's style is like on the next level. Like, we're here in 2023, he's in 3023. Anytime I see him really get dressed up and dapper, I'm always impressed. I like when a man has personal style. He's not scared to step out and just not wear the same old boring suit every other man wears. Now, you know, everybody has their limits, but I don't feel like the way Shaq dresses is feminine. I mean, he's wearing a whole suit. But it was really funny in the pageant when he tried on that wig and he did like that and it flipped off his head. That was funny. So after the pageant, him and Kirsten are talking about it to their little diary cam or whatever. Kirsten brought up the fact that someone said that all married couples should get free counseling. And he was like, I was the one that said that. I was like, child, Shaq, don't make this a big deal for later that she didn't remember what you said. Like, it's to the point now where I'm walking on eggshells with Shaq. Like, I'm scared that Kirsten gonna say the wrong thing and you gonna get upset and you gonna bring up that trip again. Because he's very petty in that way. They started discussing decision day. Well, she brought up decision day. And she said she feels kind of defeated because their communication has been a problem for them. And he feels like they've been making progress. And when he hears that, it throws him off. Like, the fact that she's saying that they have communication issues is throwing him off because he felt like they were doing good. That in itself is a miscommunication. That's a miscommunication. Y'all have a problem with communication, 1. 2, how could you possibly say that when last episode you stormed out in front of everybody? You were mad at her for not coming on that trip. She thinks she's supporting you and you want to support in a certain way, and you're not even telling her in what way to support you. And then on top of that, you told your mama, had your mama low-key chastising her. Are we in the Twilight Zone, Shaq? Because if I didn't know any better, I probably would think you were trying to gaslight me, or maybe you're just a little bit delusional. I don't know. But he was just like, you know, I guess he was looking at, you know, every day is a new day to grow and be positive. But later on, when you're talking to the men, you're telling them that you're upset because she's had her guard up the entire time, and now it gets close to decision day and you want to try when I'm the one who's been trying. So you say it's a new day to grow and everything, but you're still holding on to how she was in the beginning of this process. And I'm sorry, if you're going to stick around with Kirsten, if you're going to actually give her a chance, you're going to have to go based off of, you know, how she is now. She's let down her guard. She's trying to talk to you, and you're not going to give her a chance because of how you felt before. This is what I've been saying about Shaq the whole time. I knew he was resentful of her for how she acted the first few weeks, and so now he's resentful and petty. I'm seeing a different side of Shaq now, and that's not to say that Kirsten is perfect. I still stand by everything else I said about Kirsten, but recently I do feel like Kirsten is really trying, and I really do think she wants it to work. I totally understand the frustration. Oh, now you want it to work. I totally understand that, but unless you're gonna leave, you're gonna have to let that stuff go. One thing I am on Shaq's side on, though, is the fact that she still has not introduced him to her family, and you know this is something that Shaq really wants, and he's been begging you to pretty much do it. And I don't know, I really feel like Kirsten is wilding for that, because not only has he introduced you to his family, y'all are married. I understand, like, in the dating process, when you want to get to know somebody first before you bring them home, because I'm very selective with who I bring home. I must really love and care about you if I bring you home to meet my family. So I totally get that, but you're already married to Shaq. I would think it shows a lack of commitment by you not introducing him to your family. And I could see why Shaq would feel some type of way. Yeah, that's it for them, y'all. Like I said, I don't even know how I pulled this out of this show. I did my best. It was so boring, but we're gonna get through this. I don't know when decision day is, but it needs to hurry up. Anyway, y'all let me know what y'all think down below. Do you agree with me? Do you not agree with me? I would love to hear your opinion. And I hope you enjoyed this video, and I'll see you in my next one. Peace.